a little bit about the nervous system, which is really going to support you. This is one of the most amazing things I ever learned from my own personal journey, and that's helped all of my clients, right? The nervous system is built for survival. This is something really important to understand, okay? So the nervous system has two sides to it. You know what? Hold up. I'm just gonna bring over my whiteboard. 1 second, so I can draw it for you. Yeah, that's better. I was actually talking about it already here to someone. Okay. So. Can you all hear me okay? Thumbs up if you can. Yeah, cool. All right, so the nervous system is split into two parts, okay? So we have what's called the sympathetic nervous system. And even if you know this, things shift when you hear it again. So just bear with me, all right? It's called the sympathetic nervous system. Okay, this is our fight or flight response, right? This is where we're like in fight, flight, or freeze, all right? This is the stress response. We're in an argument. We're being chased down the street by a thief. You know, like our body goes into stress mode, okay? Quick question for you. Do you see this upside down or do you see this the right way? Is it like upside down? It's upside down? No, it's the right way? Okay, good. For me, it's upside down on the screen. It's so strange. It's bizarre. So we have the SNS, right? This is the stress response, okay? So fight, or flight. And we're only meant to be in the sympathetic nervous system 2% of the time, believe it or not. The other side of the nervous system is called the parasympathetic nervous system. Mm-hmm. Okay, PNS, the parasympathetic nervous system. This is the part of the nervous system that's focused on rest, digest, relaxation, recovery. Okay, so rest, digest. Okay, we want to be here 98% of the time. We want to be in the PNS. But what's happening today to all of us? Type in the chat. What is this happening today? Are you guys stressed 2% of the time? Give me a yes or a no in the chat. If you think you are, give me a yes. If you don't think you are, give me a no. That's it. Right? This ain't happening. This is just not happening right now. We are like 98% here and 2% here, right? And the reason being is there's so many things that send us into the SNS. There's stored and trapped emotions and trauma that send us into the SNS. Crappy foods that cause inflammation in the body. Arguments, stress from work, expectations. I have to be this person. I have to make this much money. I have to do this thing. I have to be the best mother, the best leader, the best employee, the best da-da-da-da-da. All of this is sending us into the SNS. But the reason we have this in the first place is because it's our survival mechanism, right? Stress is incredibly important for our survival. If you didn't have the SNS and you were chased by a thief, you would stand there like, smile at the thief and let the thief do what they want. Because you'd be like, just take my bag, right? But that's why we have the SNS. It's to fight, it's to run, it's to flee, it's to protect ourselves. But we only want to be here 2% of the time. Okay. So does that all make sense? Give me a nod if it makes sense. Are you with me? Yeah? Cool. Okay. So how do we reduce the amount of time that we're in the SNS so we can spend more time in the PNS. Does anybody have any ideas? Type in the chat any ideas you have. What can we do to move out of the SNS and into the PNS? Spend more time here and less time here. What can we do? I gave you some hints earlier on. Yeah. Therapy, humming, awesome. Yeah. Shia, if anybody's confused about the humming one, Shia's given a really good one because humming activates the PNS. We'll talk about this later. Eat better, absolutely. Eat better is so important. And it's not just about the foods you eat, but the quality of the foods you eat. Because when we're eating things that cause inflammation or that are covered in pesticides, any inflammation in the body puts the body into the SNS. Inflammation, SNS. If you're inflamed, SNS. If you drink alcohol, SNS. If you eat crap, SNS. But in a body that's regulated, that's fine. You can have a drink, you can eat your cake, and you'll just stay here. You won't go here because you're resilient. But if we're spending our time here and we're not working on becoming more resilient, then it's a problem. Then we get a tummy ache after we have the cake, or we feel extra hungover after the drink because our body's here. So it's just putting way more pressure on the body than it already has. Does that make sense? Yeah? You've all given amazing answers, 100%. Take breaks during the day, great. Breathing, yeah, amazing. So, right now, most of us are spending most of our time here, okay? And one of the biggest drivers of being in the SNS, other than like all of the physical things like pollution and toxins and da-da-da-da, is actually our emotional state. When we are suppressing emotion and not dealing with trauma from our past, they don't go anywhere. They just get stored in the body. Okay? And the more of these emotions and traumas we have stored in the body, the more we stay in the SNS. Now, what happens if we're in the SNS most of the time? Immune suppression, emotional reactivity, frustration, inability to connect with loved ones, health declines, crappy energy, terrible sleep, and so on and so on and so on. The list goes on. You get the point, yeah? But if we're in the PNS, if we can actually train our nervous system to be in the PNS most of the time, which is possible, we can train it through something called the window of tolerance, which I'm going to teach you in a second, then you can go through challenge. You can be exposed to tons of toxicity. You can go through a really stressful period and bounce back into the PNS easily. Does that make sense? Yeah, give me a nod if you're with me. Yeah, or thumbs up. That's it. Cool. So nervous system regulation isn't about being calm. That is not what it is. And this is the thing you might see everywhere. Regulate your nervous system and be calm. That's not what it actually means. What nervous system regulation is your ability to bounce back to the PNS when you're in the SNS. So if you're in an acute phase of stress, let's say you have a terrible meeting, or maybe you've had an argument with your partner, or maybe your kids are just screaming and that you're overwhelmed, they're stressing you out. You've called the school won't take your child in, to college. Whatever the story is, nervous system regulation is your ability to bounce back quickly to the PNS after an acute period of stress. So individuals that, let's say, hold grudges, that can't forgive, that give you silent treatment, that need to go on 5-hour walks, they struggle massively to regulate. Yeah? So they're stuck here. Cool. Okay. Now, you've all given me already some amazing things that we can do to train ourselves to be in the PNS. But I'm going to teach you a little something. I think I have it on the previous page. Let's see. I'm going to do it again. I did a very bad drawing the other day. Okay. So, I'm going to teach you something called the window of tolerance. Has anybody heard about this? If you have, type me in the chat. Window of tolerance. Type me in the chat. Shia. That's it. Yes, if you're on the Empower program, then you would have. Yeah, cool. Okay. So, let's go. Window of tolerance. Window of tolerance. So, we all have a window. Okay? We all have a window of tolerance, which means that within the window, we are able to stay calm no matter what's happening. So there's certain stressful situations that happen that don't really trigger you much. You're just like, it's fine. I can handle this, you know? Maybe going to the gym. You know, you're in the gym, you're training. It's stress on the body, but you can handle it, right? Or maybe someone says something to you that pissed you off, but you're like, whatever, doesn't matter. That's not going to bother me. If that's your reaction, you're within your window of tolerance, okay? But what happens is, outside of the window of tolerance, we can either go into hyperarousal, okay? Hyperarousal, or hypoarousal, okay? Now, hyperarousal is a state of extreme stress, anxiety, overdrive, and we explode. Boom. Hypoarousal is we retreat. We just retreat. Maybe we're having an argument and we just need to leave. We retreat. We can't, like, shut off, you go, right? These are the two things that can happen when we leave our window of tolerance. So if someone stresses you out beyond your capacity to handle it, beyond your nervous system's capacity to handle it, you'll either go into hypoarousal or hyperarousal. Knowing yourself, I want you to type in the chat, are you more hyper-aroused when you're stressed or hypo-aroused when you're stressed? You can also be a combination, but generally we're more one than the other. Hyper, yeah. Yeah. Hypo, normally hyper around close family, yeah, 100%. But it depends on the situation. Or hyper with kids, yeah. Yeah, awesome. Thanks for sharing. So it's really good to understand your tendency, to know whether you go more into hyper or hypoarousal. It's really, really important to understand. So the good news, I have good news amongst all this, okay? The good news is that we can expand the window of tolerance. So now your window can expand, okay? We can expand it. Excuse my drawings, it's not my forte at all. So the way we expand it is through nervous system regulation practices, which we're going to go through today. I might give you 2 or 3 to take home with you, to take away to practice, okay? One of them being breath work, obviously. My favorite one. This is the good news, because now what used to send you into hyper or hypoarousal no longer does. What used to send you out of your window of tolerance no longer does, because you've enhanced and increased your window of tolerance. And the awesome thing is that our nervous systems are plastic in that way. We can train them to be more resilient. Just like the brain is neuroplastic, we can build new neurological pathways at any age. It's the same with our nervous system. We can train the nervous system at any age to be more resilient to stress. And that is nervous system regulation. Yeah? So, how do we do this? How do we do this? It's number one, before I tell you like the different techniques and tools, and before we get into our breathwork journey, there needs to be an element of consistency in your training. Okay? When you're working to expand your window of tolerance, you need to be consistent in the practices that are training your nervous system to expand its window of tolerance. And that doesn't mean you need to put in tons of hours a day. It just means you need to pick one thing and stick with it and be consistent. Okay? Even on the days you don't want to do it. Okay.